Pens are all shipped out. That means we can start another pre-sale. But the first thing I gotta do is finish some of the audio edits on the vlogs from last week. I want to balance the audio a little bit better. So I'm gonna import that. I'm gonna clean up the shop because I don't like a mess. I can't work when I have a mess. And then there's just gonna be a bunch of computer work, but I'll find more interesting stuff for you to look at because looking at a computer screen is boring. Organizing and cleaning my world is like paramount. It kind of can fall a little bit by the wayside, which is why I try to make sure everything has a really simple place for it to go, so I'm more likely to put it away. But setting aside a little bit of time, especially after a production run, kind of where I'm in limbo land right now, just to kind of clean up my world, is massively beneficial. Not only for my brain, like declutters my brain, but it also lets me just work faster in the future. My edit workflow, if people are interested, I shoot most of these videos and then edit them. Honestly, I clip and trim a lot of them on my phone before they go into the final edits, and then I bring them into Resolve and do the final edits in DaVinci Resolve and balance audio and stuff. So if any video dorks are out there, that's what I'm using. It's a good program. I really enjoy it, and it's free. It's super powerful. Getting the printers all set up for some prints. Actually, I'm just burning up the rest of this resin for a little print for my wife. So I was mixing it up in the vat because it's been sitting for quite some time. And then we're going to switch over to a more more structural resin for some other production parts I'm making. This is my big pen bin. This was a really good idea. I just whiteboard marker the serial numbers for all the pens on the bin so I can keep them all organized. One thing I eventually have to do is print little carriers for each of those bins so the parts don't rattle around. But this is a nice, easy way to carry, like, I don't know, carry 8 by whatever, 60 odd pens in there. So yeah, I can drop 60 odd pens as well, but just it makes it easy to keep everything nice and organized. And just a bunch of computer work while the resin printer does its little thing. It's kind of cool watching in the time lapse. You can see the process of how it goes up and down to slowly build layer by layer by layer. And yeah, I'm really impressed with how many advancements have been made in these little machines. One thing people talk about resin printers is how messy they are, but I find if you're just really neat with everything and kind of keep everything organized, they're not all that messy. You got to be careful, obviously, but what I do is I scrape most of the resin off once they come out of the build, just onto a paper towel to kind of reduce the amount of contamination of the alcohol baths, because you're using a decent amount of alcohol, so you don't want to burn through it too fast. This is the pre-wash I use. So this isn't the alcohol that's basically been ran once and is kind of getting to the point where it's no longer cleaning parts. So I use it as a pre-wash just to get most of the gunk off it. I use some fresh alcohol there just to blast through the little supports, just to clean it as much as I can before I put it into the actual wash station. The wash station is going to get rid of everything, but I want to keep that alcohol as good as I can. And then as that one gets contaminated, they kind of cycle through. One becomes a pre-wash, then new goes into this system. Turn it on, let it go, and then it agitates the mixture, and then everything else after this is automagic. Once a little Wash-O-Matic has done its thing and cleaned the part nice and sparkly, it's basically in a uncured state right now. It's safe to handle. I still keep gloves on because you're still going to get resin contamination, and that stuff's it's sensitizing. It's not the greatest for your skin, but everything is nice and soft. All the supports are fairly soft still, so they're much easier to remove at this state. So I give everything a check over, just make sure it is what I want. This is a little Gothic lantern for my wife. It's just a kind of a pure visual part, so it's kind of fun printing something that wasn't critical. Just it just had to look pretty. I used just a rounded off X-Acto blade just to get under the print and pry it off the build plate. They sell flexible build plates for this. I think I'm going to buy one. It would make this process much easier, but it's not too tedious. And give everything nice, clean with alcohol, and put it all back together. That way it's ready to go again. So when I want to do a next print, I just have to walk up to it and hit the go button. That just makes my life easier. So here I'm just going to change out all the resin from the vat. The best way to do that is just to drain the resin out of the vat. In the future, I think I'm going to buy more of these vats because it'll make life easier, and they're so inexpensive, and I've lost focus. So we'll just kind of skim through most of this. I'm just hanging it on a piece of 80/20 and letting gravity do most of the work, getting the resin out of the vat and back into the bottle. And then the rest we'll just wash out with alcohol, just so we don't have to use a boatload of alcohol to clean it. Here, I should probably still have gloves on because there's still a bunch of resin, but a quick blast with alcohol kind of loosens everything up and lets the remaining come out. And then give it a quick wipe down, and then we can put the new stuff in it. Peeling the supports out of the model is actually kind of a fun process. They just come off so well. They kind of come off like Velcro, and it's got a pleasing sensation and a pleasing sound. The side cutters are mainly just to cut the supports to get them out of the actual model because they're interweaved in there all kinds of ways. But I don't mind doing this. I mean, if I had to do this day in and day out, I'd probably lose my mind. But for the odd time I have to do it, it's quite enjoyable. And the sounds are quite pleasing as well. This model had a bunch of kind of cross bracing inside the lid, so getting all the supports out of it was a bit tedious. I had to do a lot of cutting to kind of finagle them around all the little cross bracing in there. But yeah, it was nice to work on a model that was just, it was not dimensionally critical. Nothing was important on this other than looking good. So yeah, I don't have a lot of prints like that in my world, so it's kind of fun just to do something silly like this. I believe this was designed to be FDM printed, so the tolerances are fairly loose, but I'm going to glue this together and rattle can it black, and it basically will be hidden inside kind of a big witch house thing, so you're not going to see a ton of it anyways. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it. For a model I just downloaded, ran through the software, and hit go on, very impressed with how it turned out. A lot of my prints, I spend a lot of time putting the supports where I need them to be outside of visual range or where they're not going to interfere with something, but just having this one to kind of just treat it as a dumb model was a lot of fun. So I had plans to replace the FEP sheet in the bottom. You can see there's a little crease in it. I had purchased an FEP sheet, a raw one, and I figured to just bolt it into this frame like most of the other printers do. But this one uses an entire cartridge, like that whole thing you just purchase from the manufacturer, and it just bolts into place. So I messed with this for a little bit and then realized, nope, I'm just gonna buy the actual part and be done with it. It's dirt cheap. Well, if you're trying to create a time machine, start your own business, because this is the best way to burn through it. It is crazy how fast time goes, and these aren't short days either. Anyways, tomorrow we're doing actual machining because I need some pen parts to update some of the pre-sale listings. So we'll get into that because that's kind of fun. But I'm enjoying these. These are fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.